Hey Fortnite fans, today we are taking a look at the Foundation, part of the 7 collection from Hasbro's Fortnite line. This is a deluxe figure. I picked it up from Hasbro Pulse. It's been a long wait. I think we've waited over a year for this figure. Let's not wait any longer. We can open this up. It's more of a deluxe packaging. Here we see the render of the figure gliding down on the figure stand. Here's some really awesome, I'm really enjoying the Hasbro art. It's not just the images from the game, but it's more stylized, more artistic of the stuff you're going to see in the game. And in this dark little hole, you'll see the figure, which is not very exciting, so we need to get this sucker open. Over here on the side, you see exactly what comes included in this figure. Without further ado, let's get this sucker open. The Foundation comes with a pile of accessories, probably not exactly the ones you were hoping for or the ones you might have been expecting, even though during the last year, we've been told pretty much what he's going to come with. He comes with his back bling, the Foundation Mantle. It's got the cool looking, is that the 7 logo or just some 7 graffiti graphics on the cape? Plugs right into his back. Comes with a really cool rod. No, this is not a harvesting tool. This is the base to the umbrella that he comes with, the Foundational. I think it's the Foundational. This is a pretty cool, solid umbrella, so hopefully we'll be getting more umbrellas in the future. This sucker just pegs, or not pegs, plugs right in there, and he's got a nice parasol umbrella. Not really a parasol. He comes with this little silvery gray thing that plugs into the hole in his back when he's not wearing his mantle cape. And not really finally, but finally for the accessories that you generally care about, he comes with 2 replaceable fist hands, and I've got them on the wrong side. So you can take out his hands and put a couple fists in there, which is kind of neat. Then he comes with a glider stand. Well, not really a glider stand, a figure stand. So here's the base right there. Here's the piece that hooks on the base like so. And then there's another piece that connects like so there. And a final piece that connects on. Most of the accessories, half the accessories are actually the stand. And this is like what I call the waist pinchers. Key. So let's see how this figure compares height-wise to other figures. This figure stands, according to the tape measure, about 6 3/4 inches tall. Not quite 7, but definitely above 6. Let's start off with some smaller figures. We have a G.I. Joe classified figure and a Star Wars Black Series figure right there. And Deadpool, we might as well slide him in as a Marvel Legends figure because he's trying to sneak in there. And then we've got Green Lantern from McFarlane DC Multiverse and Master Chief from Jazzwares Spartan Collection. Now, the figure that I know I've been waiting for, and maybe all of us have been waiting for, is the Rock figure from whatever company, from whatever wrestling line. As you can see, the Rock is definitely taller, and the head is definitely bigger, so I have a feeling the Foundation's actually smaller than I was expecting. I thought he might actually be inching towards 7 inches tall, but that's not quite the case. Later, we will try the heads up, but I have a feeling this head might just be on the edge of too big, but we will see. Finally, a different figure, and that is the Scientist, part of the 7 collection that Hasbro has already released. He is up here without a faceplate because, and I can't even get him to stand. Because, well, the faceplates pop off so easy. But there is a height comparison with the Scientist. You can see he is much bigger and bulkier than the Foundation. The Foundation is a slimmer figure. So let's take a look at the articulation. I already have a couple thoughts on the articulation. Overall, he's got some good articulation. His head rotates around, it looks down, and it looks up. There's no separate point here at the base of the neck. It's just a barbell between the neck and the head. The arms rotate pretty well all the way around, like so, and the shoulders go about that far. Now, here's one of the problems I've got. My figure is kind of bendy here, so I can kind of crank his arm up there. I think it should go higher, but it only like does one kind of crack there. So I'm gonna have to warm this left arm up and see what's going on. Biceps rotate, double pinless elbow. It's got a pretty good bend there if you ask me, and a rotation and hinge at the wrist. He does have, if you can call it that, a torso wiggle. He can lean back that far. If you want to lean forward, he can lean forward that far. I'm not sure if you can tell a huge difference between the two. His waist, or his torso, actually, I didn't realize, does rotate, but the waist is a little more difficult. So he does have some hindrance in this torso. I mean, come on, the dude's in armor. I mean, when do you wear armor, and when can you articulate and move around really well? Then we come to his legs, which, truthfully, they're not stiff, but they don't move a whole lot. If you want him to sit, well, that's about what you're gonna get, because yeah, he's got this belt on here. It restricts the movement, but also the armor on his thighs, just they hit. If you want to rotate the thighs, it is right here hidden in this armor, and you can rotate them a little bit. He's got double pinless knees, which, you ask me, might just be the best articulation on this figure, period. I mean, look at that. I mean, is this like a yoga thing? Like, how many people can do this? So in this kind of armor, that's just top notch. He's got no kind of boot cut there, so there's no rotation between the knee and the ankle, but he can rotate at the ankle and he can hinge at the ankle. In fact, he can do the 7 ballet, when it's time for his curtain call, so to speak. And that's about what you get. So overall, all in all, I actually think this figure is much better with the articulation and the styling than the Scientist. The Scientist is big and bulky and doesn't quite move around in the same way. So I would already say that this is a much better figure than the Scientist just because of that. So I think any of you curious about the difference between the Scientist and the Foundation, I think that answers your question right there. So as for the gear, let's attach the Foundation's mantle, which when we flip him around to the back, you'll see there's a little spot for like a little pegged back bling, but then there's this massive like rectangular piece, and that's where this thing comes in. It hangs off over the corner of his right shoulder, pegs on just like that, and that's how he is, because, he's the cool 7 figure. He can't have a full-on cape. He's got to have the cape that's just over one shoulder, because he's just that awesome, right? I don't know. So anyway, it works pretty good. Let's pop this thing off. And I said there was this little piece that's over here, and it's a little silvery gray thing, and that plugs right in. It's kind of interesting. If you don't want the cloak or the cape over his right shoulder, you can put this in, and it fills in the armor. It's armor putty. I don't know. But I think that's actually I don't know if it's necessary, because we've got characters or figures like the Mandalorian here, who's got like little squares and circles all over his back for jetpacks and capes and so forth. So I guess this one decided, let's go ahead and hide that spot. I'm going to unhide it. Next is... actually, let's do the umbrella next. So this is actually pretty heavy. If I'm holding them, I'm going to say this umbrella is actually heavier than the figure. So my guess is he's going to have to hold it with 2 hands to actually hold it properly. There we go. Yeah, he's definitely going to be front heavy with that thing. And if you're not careful, he may just break it apart. Look at that. It's so much lighter without the top part. So I think really the only proper way for him to hold this umbrella is to get 2 hands on this thing. I gotta pry these fingers out. I gotta pry the fingers out. Okay, well, we gotta do that. It's apparently, for me, it's an ordeal. There. We'll do this. Raise his arms a little bit. And there, you have an umbrella posed figure. And actually, I think that actually looks pretty neat. You could then get this figure stand up and working. Just pop that in there, like so. If you didn't see that, there you go. Oh, cool. Just notice that actually has a little FN Fortnite right there to signify that it's a Fortnite stand. And then you get all this stuff and hook him up, and then he can be hanging here off camera, gliding down from the battle bus to the island. Next, let's see how well the fists are, or his hands are replaceable. So let's, oh, that popped off actually really pretty easy. A little surprised there. Slide that on, and yeah, his hands are as easy to change as that. And just for fun, we will put the other one on as well. Now he's ready to do some street brawling, or, oh, oops, I put the wrong hand on. Wow, it was going so well until I put the other upside down hand on. But there, now he's ready to do some brawling in the back alleys, if you can get him to stand up. But yeah, that works pretty good. All right, the moment we have all been waiting for, and that is... I forgot his name. I was going to say his little catchphrase, but I can't remember it now. So it's the Rock figure that is definitely taller, definitely bigger than the Foundation. If they were to go on one-on-one, who do you think would actually win? Let's do that right there. So let's see if heads work. So the Rock's head is pretty easy to pull off, just like so. And we'll lay the dead body. That's not a dead body. Off to the side. And the hey, look at that. So I mentioned earlier that the Foundation has a barbell type joint in the head there, meaning that the ball joint is up in the head and the ball joint is down in the neck. What does that mean for swapping out a head? Well, the Rock's head has a hole. It needs a ball joint, and I didn't even get that on there. So setting it on here, it's gonna fall right off. Can't hook on there whatsoever, but I can kind of hold it here like so, and you can get an idea if you think this works or not. I think the head, this is my personal opinion, I think the head might be just a tad too big. I think from certain angles, if you're wanting to take pictures or you have this figure up on a shelf, I think it might work pretty good. But overall, I think the head is definitely slightly too big, which is really disappointing. What an awesome opportunity, since this figure has been in I don't know, development or design for so long. I mean, we've known about this Rock figure for quite a while. So too bad they couldn't have tweaked the size of this figure. You know, how awesome would that have been? A little nod to the fans, just to make it big enough and maybe have a ball joint sticking up that you could do this. I would have given Hasbro major, huge props for doing something like that, being able to indirectly integrate with another figure. Oh, there you go. Now he's looking up. I don't have to hold it anymore. I think that would have been super awesome, and something that would have really shown how much they really do care about this stuff, as opposed to just throwing stuff out. It would have been a way that they didn't have to make any extra parts. We could just pull from another, and maybe they just don't want us buying other companies' things, which is understandable. So I'll get off that soapbox. I think it could work from certain angles if you're displaying the figure or taking pictures, but overall I do think the head is just a little bit too big, and that's disappointing because I don't buy wrestling figures, but I bought this figure just for that reason. Now, trying to get this head back on, I will tell you, is not an easy thing, because it wiggles and jiggles all over, and I gotta use like maximum strength. And yeah, it moves extremely easy, if you can see that ball joint there. So we may have to end this video, which we're not done yet. I still have a couple thoughts on this figure. Yeah, we're gonna have to end this video with his head just kind of sitting there like that. Anyway, overall, what do I think of this figure? I think it's a nice figure. I think it's a little more hindered than I really want it to be. I think, no, there's no think. I want it to be more articulated, more usable. I know there's some people out there who prefer design over articulation. I've heard that in various interviews. I'm a consumer, and what doesn't really matter, I don't think, what you want. I think it matters what your consumers, what your customers want. And I would almost always take articulation over design. However, I don't want all this junky articulation that's not necessary. I'd rather have design over that. So it's a very fine balance. How would I fix this figure? I have no idea. I'm not a toy designer. I'm just a consumer. One other thing is this is a lot bluer than I was anticipating. The early visuals, the renders, had this a little bit darker, and I think in-game, his blue is a little bit darker. There is something a little bit off about this figure, I think. Waist may be a little too skinny, longer legs. I don't know. I'm sure they designed this figure directly from game files, so it can't really be too far off. Colors, they can only go so far. I mean, translating color from digital game to real life, I understand might be a little bit something, but this is a little bit bluer than I was expecting. Is it horrible? No, it's just a little bit more colorful than I was expecting. Will we see another Foundation figure in the future? Hasbro loves reusing molds, and I don't blame them. I understand that concept completely. And in fact, Fortnite lends itself to reusing molds wonderfully because they make multiple styles from the same base. And so of all the figure lines out there, they have a legitimate reason to reuse these figures. So I hope one day we get like the darker, is it Stealth Foundation? I can't remember. It's the one that's like all black and gray. I would love to see that figure one day. Maybe as a general release, maybe not a special, the 7 packaging deluxe set, maybe just a figure and a weapon. By the way, this figure does not come with a weapon, and I think they could have tossed in a weapon, maybe. For $40, I think they could have tossed in a weapon. I don't understand the back end of toy pricing or manufacturing costs or shipping costs. I just know there's a lot of things that are really high. So I'll get off my little... Yeah, I'm not going to get that thing back on. I'm going to finish up here. I don't want to keep you, but that's just some of my thoughts about this figure. Overall, I really like it. If you have an opportunity to get it, I think it's well worth the buy. I don't know if it's well worth the $40. I don't understand all that. But it comes down to, is it worth it to you? Do you like this character or the look of this figure so much that you want it? Then it's worth it to you. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you for stopping by and watching. If you haven't already, before you get out of here, check out my recent review in the bottom left corner of the figure that I did yesterday. Because at this very moment, I can't remember. But he's right there in the bottom left corner. See? That's who it is. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.